one. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Total Bases Express Show. I am your host, Austin Spiro. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on Facebook in the Baseball Life Facebook group. It's been entertaining the last few days here. And I am joined on this show by the host of the Stepback podcast over at Basketball Life. My friend Jacob Moses is with me today. Jacob, thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me today. How you doing today, my man?
I am doing good, my brother. Austin, it's Austin. My Jim Royce voice in there. Well, I'm doing well, brother. Thank you for having me on. Excited to do this. Let's talk some MLB playoffs.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's talk some MLB playoffs. I'm excited to have you on. I've had you on a couple times. I always enjoy talking to you about baseball, whether it's in Baseball Life or here on the podcast. It's fun. We got some people in the comments already. This is awesome. Matthew Whelan's here. Corey Richmond's here. We've got Melvin on. Melvin has got his own podcast going on now over there at the Baseball Cosmos. So check that out too.
Do it.
Yeah, so we got a lot of people watching already. Sweet. So go ahead and keep them comments going. To Felipe just jumped in. All right. Sweet. Oh man, the big man's here. I gotta do well. Big man's already. Big man's here. So all right, let's get going. Let's get talking about the playoffs. The playoffs has already been kind of nuts. It ain't gone the way you thought it was gonna go, Jacob, our resident Mets fan here in Baseball Life. So let's just talk about that wild card. The Mets losing to who'd they lose to?
Padres.
The Padres. That's right. Yes. They lost to the darling Padres. So what did you think? Let's start with that wild card series. What did you think?
Went in. Honestly, I didn't want to face the Padres because I felt they matched up with us the best with their pitching, and then the hitting. You know, they were hot going into the series, so it kind of made me nervous. But I was like, with Jake and Max, we should be good. Bassett, we might be able to squeak it out. And plus, we're playing at home. Nope. We got washed. I mean, pretty much Scherzer got just taken advantage of. Jake did okay, but it wasn't bad. Bassett was pretty much shaking that last game. They took it to us, man. It hurt. Because should have won the division. You know, we had it in hand, typical Mets fashion, which hurts. Always at the end, they can't hold on to it. The Braves, they took it over, got into this series, and that's all she wrote. You know, you had guys like Trent Grisham, a.k.a. Babe Ruth, coming around and tearing us up. Then you had freaking Josh Bell, who hasn't done anything, another 210 hitter. Hitting 2-run bombs, and everybody's all celebrating, looking good. And now you see the team that's facing the Phillies now. And so hats off to the Padres. They worked us.
Yeah, I mean, they really did. I mean, disappointing performance from Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer got rocked. You know, one start, only went 4 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 7 runs, only 4 strikeouts. That's not what you need out of somebody that's probably your 1B. After Jacob DeGrom. DeGrom did pretty well, 6 innings, only gave up 2 runs. But, I mean, it's more of the same when it comes to Jacob DeGrom. He ain't getting no run support. He never really has gotten any run support. Nobody really from the pitching aspect for the Mets. The pitching aspect from the Padres, though, Padres have done really well in this postseason when it comes to pitching. Offensively, I mean, you had Pete Alonso 3 for 10 performance, Mark Canha 3 for 10, or not 3 for 10. I'm sorry. 3 for 10. I was right. Mark Canha didn't get any hits. I mean, let's see. Eduardo Escobar had a good series, but after that, I'm seeing a lot of low 2s, low 1s. You know, when it comes to batting average, you're not much when it comes offensively. And you're right. San Diego's turned it on. A couple of key hits, and yeah, that's all she wrote. I think this is very indicative of you got to get hot at the right time.
Exactly.
Right? You have to get hot at the right time, and it really doesn't matter. Everybody's especially after the Dodgers series, which we'll get talking about here in a second. Everybody's crying like, oh, it needs to be more fair for these higher seeds. It's not fair that all these lower seeds are getting into the playoffs, and we're not watching the Dodgers against the whatever. And and it's like, it doesn't matter how you restructure this. playoff format. We can sit here and talk about all these different ways to structure the playoffs until we're blue in the face. But the fact of the matter is it's a long season and you gotta be hot at the right time. We see it in the NBA. We see it in the NFL. We see it in all the sports. You get into the playoffs, there's always at least one or two teams who they're hot at the right time. They weren't the best team during the regular season, but they do well in the playoffs. What do you say about that?
Oh, I agree with you 100%. It doesn't matter. You go into the playoffs. It's fair game. It's 0-0 every series. You got to play. You got to hit with runners in scoring position, which the Mets didn't do, and the Padres excelled at it. And that's plain and simple. That's what they did against the Dodgers.
Yep.
They got past their starting pitching. They went to their bullpen, got the timely hits. And that was pretty much it. There's no change in the format. I like this format. It's a lot of parity. You don't know what's going to happen. You saw, once again, the Mets knocked out, the Braves knocked out, the champions knocked out. I mean, this is great baseball. That's baseball, Susan. Anything can happen, and I love it. I love it, even though I felt the brunt of it, and I was pretty pissed off that night when it happened. But that's how it goes, plain and simple.
And I mean, honestly, it's not like most of these higher caliber teams fell flat on their face. I mean, you had the Braves in the last game of that series there fall flat on their face. You had the Mets, who didn't really look like the Mets that we had seen for most of the season, but for the most part, you're seeing really good baseball games. I mean, we're going to talk about the Astros and the Mariners here. I thought, even though that was a sweep, I think that's the best series that's been played so far.
It was good.
It was a great series. And I really like what Trent Grisham said going into the playoffs. Trent Grisham did not have a great season this year hitting, but he came in and said, I'm looking up at the scoreboard and I'm seeing everybody is at a 0 batting average right now. Everybody is. So this is a new season. And he took advantage. I mean, in the wild card series, he hit 500. He hit 2 homers, right? I would say if they were to give out an MVP of the wild card game, I would say Trent Grisham is probably in the running for that. You could probably also argue Austin Nola going 4 for 9, right? That's another one. Austin Nola, not very great hitting, right? But he came up in the playoffs, right? So yeah, I mean, that's just the playoffs. You're always going to see it. There's no way that you're going to restructure this to where you're going to see the number 1 seeds go in every single tournament. There's no way, So let's keep going with the NL. Moving on from the wild card there for the Padres and Mets. We're going to talk about the Phillies and Cardinals. This one shocked me. I was shocked. I thought the Cardinals were going to take care of the Phillies, no problem. And it turns out it was the other way around. Cardinals fell flat on their face and Phillies came out swinging and did really well, beating them 6-3 in game 1, 2-0 in game 2, and just really shut them down the whole time. What do you think about that Phillies series going into the wild card?
I had a feeling about the Phillies. What they're hitting, you look at their lineup, it's pretty deep. They can match up with anybody from each league. It's all about their pitching because you have, Schwarbers, the Harpers, the Castellanos, JT Realmutos, the Segura's back. You got Alec Baum, who had a nice bounce back season. They're 1-9 pretty much. It's pretty good. You have a light hitter, maybe Stott or something like that, whatever the shortstop name is. You have that guy, and that's pretty much their weakest hitter. So you're going against the Cardinals team that, they have their hitting, with Tyler O'Neill. My God, what's my God? I can't even think of his name. Going fast. What's the shortstop's name? Shortstop's like Tommy Edman.
Yeah.
Nolan Arenado, everybody's favorite third baseman in baseball life. But yeah, they matched up pretty well. But the Phillies look like they got hot. And their bullpen, that was the biggest question mark. Would their bullpen be able to close games? And it's been doing that. Sarah Anthony Dominguez, Alvarado, and they're pitching. Wheeler and Nola, that's a formidable one too. And Wheeler, as I know, he's one person. Shout out to Sean. We always liked Wheeler, wanted to keep him. Brody didn't, ante up the money, and he goes to Philly, Cy Young candidate every year. He's staying healthy, which was his big knock. If he can stay healthy, what Wheeler were you going to get? You're getting every bit of good Wheeler that there has been.
Oh yeah,
in his career. So the Phillies, they did it. They went in took it to the Cardinals at the right times, got their timely hitting, and look at them now. Series away from the World Series.
Yep. I mean, you're looking at, I think the tail of the tape here is the bullpen. Yep. Because the Phillies bullpen did really well. Outside of Jose Alvarado giving up 2 runs in an inning and a third, you had Sir Anthony Dominguez, lights out, only 1 hit given up, right? You had Zach Eflin come in, 2 innings, only gave up 4 hits, but only gave up a run. You had David Robertson come in, do really well. 1 inning, didn't give up any hits, 1 perfect inning in the playoffs. And then you had the Cardinals coming in. You had Giovanni Gallegos only giving up a walk, and that's it in 2 1/3 innings. But after that, Ryan Hesley, 1 inning, 4 earned runs. You had Miles Michaelis only go 4 1/3. Jordan Montgomery only go 2 2/3, and that's not what you need out of a starter. Andre Palante, 2/3 of an inning, 2 runs. That's not going to do it. And I think the tail of the tape here was, in fact, the pitching, because especially in game 1, the Cardinals showed up, they scored 3 runs, but the Phillies scored 6 because their pitching was not great. The Cardinals got shut out in game 2, but that was just lights out pitching performance. I think it's just really nice to see some of these other teams getting into the playoffs. I think that's the other thing for me is, I would have liked to seen the Cardinals get farther, but we get to see the Phillies play some more, and we ain't seen the Phillies in a long time. So,
it's been a while.
It's really nice to see some of these other guys get in here. We got some comments going on in here. Manny Hernandez, our resident A's fan, the only one that I think that is willing at this point to not put the bag over his head and admit that he's an A's fan, is talking about how players get inspired by the bigger stage as well.
Absolutely.
Which
absolutely.
is absolutely. There are some players that just do better on in the spotlight. Manny's also talking about how there's more rookie standouts in the playoffs than he's seen in a while. We'll talk about Julio Rodriguez and other players of that nature. I also agree there are a lot of rookies that are stepping up right now. Moving on from the NL, we'll talk about the Phillies series over the Braves. I don't think there really is much to say about this. The fact of the matter is the Braves just didn't have it, and the Phillies came out inspired, played inspired baseball, and just walked all over the Braves. It was embarrassing, right? Is it just me? Because Ronald Acuna Jr. had no idea what he was doing out there in right field, giving up that inside the park homer. That wasn't on Harris. That was on Acuna. Acuna should have been backing up. That's a tough ball to catch out in the corner of center field. And Acuna took like 3 steps and didn't even bother to even start jogging until it bounced off the wall, and it's too late. Then you got the fastest catcher in MLB running around the bases. And how embarrassing is that? The catcher hit a inside the Parker. In my mind, it's just uninspired flat baseball by the Braves, and the Phillies came in playing inspired. What do you think about that? That's the way I see it.
I agree. They came out aggressive as well against their pitchers. They weren't waiting on, too much of anything. They saw a fastball, they hit it. They knew they can hit it, they torched it. And that's what you had to do against the Braves. You jump on it because their offense is just as good. They jumped on them. They jumped on every amount of their pitching, jumped on Strider, Max Fried. Yep. And once they did that, it was game over. There's nothing they could do about it.
The other thing, I think, bad pitch management by the Braves, especially coming from Spencer Strider, because Spencer Strider was not ready to come back. And it was very obvious. He was very off in his playoff game, but they wanted to put him in there and go as deep as they could with him. And that just wasn't going to happen. And they put him in there too late, or they kept him in there too late, and he got rocked. And by that time, the game was over. There was no way they were coming back. Bad pitch management. I think this was just terribly managed by the Braves, and I don't think there was any way that they deserved to repeat as World Series champions. I think it was a well-deserved win by the Phillies. I think the more entertaining series that we're going to talk about here is the Goose series, the Padres and the Dodgers. At first, I was watching the game and I had it on mute for a second, and I looked up and I'm like, the hell is this bird doing on the like I looked up, all of a sudden there's just this goose head, and I'm like, what is going on right now? And I couldn't believe that the Padres took care of the Dodgers in that way. But the Dodgers didn't go away. It wasn't like the Dodgers just laid flat and didn't play. They came to play. And I thought it was a very well played game, and it was just luck went on the side of the Padres more than it did the Dodgers. That's just me. A lot of people are blaming Dave Roberts and how he managed the pitching staff and the bullpen and I really don't think it's Dave Roberts' fault. I think the Padres just played better.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
We alluded to it. You get hot, there's nothing you can do about it. It's just that's how baseball works. It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Great pitching leads to great hitting usually, and vice versa. That's just basically what happened. Just like the last game. What happened? 5-run that inning. Padres went and stopped. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. It was
it
was lights up for him. And
no, I agree. There. And the thing that I thought about last game with the Padres was they're not hitting bombs all over the field, right? They're stringing together hits. Yep. And people are saying that it's impossible to string together hits anymore in the MLB, and the Padres are proving that that's not true. In the last series with the Dodgers, they only hit 4 homers.
Yep.
Which is not very many. And you got people like Jake Cronenworth who's 7 for 16. Right? You've got Trent Grisham coming together again, 4 for 13 and hitting a bomb. You've got Han-Seong Kim gathering a couple hits. Manny Machado, the guy who needs to step up, is stepping up, right? And at this point, they're proven they don't need Fernando Tatis Jr. They don't need him. It would be nice to have him, but they don't need him, right? So, I mean, but on the other side, I mean, you can't fault the Dodgers at this point. I mean, not very great playoff from Mookie Betts. Not very great playoff from Cody Bellinger, but what else is new? Will Smith, not a great performance, but you had a good performance from Freddie Freeman, had a good performance from Max Muncy. Trey Turner had a pretty good, even with an injured hand, had pretty good, pretty good stuff. And it's funny. Now I got Matthew Whelan coming in saying that small ball is still a thing. It is still a thing. It's a small thing, but it is a thing. And I think with these new rule changes coming in with the limit of pickoffs, which by the way, I think is dumb, even though I love stolen bases, I think limiting pickoffs is dumb. You're going to see a lot more stolen bases. So you're going to see a lot more small ball. Anyway, what are your, or I guess you've already kind of commented on the Padres and Dodgers. Is there anything you want to add to this series?
It was just also the tale of what happened to the Mets. When the opportunities came around, you couldn't drive in the big runs. Yep. Freddie Freeman, he actually was over 20 before he had that 3-hit game.
Yeah.
And they pretty much shut him down. And once you don't get it's good to get, what am I thinking? Come on. It's good to get production from your big boppers and stuff like that, but the Padres is just a better team. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And I've got some comments out here. Manny saying that the Padres locker room looks more cohesive this year. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think the key, Fernando Tatis Jr. I think the absence of Fernando Tatis Jr. is really helping that locker room. As great of a ball player as he is, you can tell that right now, when he's out on the field, it's about Fernando Tatis Jr. And we saw it in the blow up in the dugout in the last season. And Manny Machado having an argument with Fernando Tatis Jr. And Manny Machado flat out said, "It's not about you." You saw him say it. It's not about you. And I think once Fernando Tatis Jr. can figure that out, then Padres are going to be unstoppable. Moving on from the division series to the championship series here at the NLCS, we've got the most unlikeliest series that I would have ever imagined. We have the Padres against the Phillies. Games are the series is tied at 1-1, with the Phillies winning 2-0. And game 2 yesterday was a very entertaining game. The Padres scoring 5 runs in the 5th or 6th inning to go up 8 or to win 8-5 and bring it even. What do you think about this series so far, and who do you think is going to win?
This is going to be a back and forth series, and 2 explosive offenses when they get going. It's going to come down to the starting pitching as usual, and whether the Phillies bullpen can hold up. Because if we get the Phillies bullpen from the Braves series, they're going to be lights out for the Padres. But Padres, once again, they got a better closer. I like their middle relief a little bit better, and then their starting rotation. I'll say, I'll lean towards the Padres because with Musgrove, Darvish, Snell, I mean, they're there. Those 3, you'll take those any day of the week. But how long can Snell go? But all in all, my Met fandom want to say, hey, Padres, but honestly, I think the Phillies I think they're going to take it. I see it.
It's going to definitely be a very interesting series. I think I would agree with you. I've got the pitching kind of over to San Diego. The offense, I think, is kind of equal, and I think it just depends on what ballpark you play in. I think whoever's playing at home, that's going to be the better offense. So I think you're right. I think it's going to come down to the pitching. Is Darvish and Snell and those guys, are they going to be able to hold back the Phillies, or is it going to be that 1-2 punch of Nola and Wheeler, who is going to? We've already seen a great 7-inning performance from Wheeler. We saw not a great performance by Aaron Nola, but he can easily turn it around. Darvish, great 7-inning performance. Blake Snell went 5 innings. I mean, I think that's about as far as you're going to get with Blake Snell.
Yep, 5 or 6.
5 or 6 innings, and then it's time for him to go. Right, that's it. Hader is unhittable. First pitcher in postseason history to strike out 8 consecutive batters. Hader is back, I think. He showed up at the right time. You also got people like Robert Suarez back there throwing gas. You've got Nick Martinez out there doing really well. That Padres pitching is going to be tough. I would actually lean towards, I think the Padres have this. I think the Padres have it. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be an entertaining series nonetheless, but I have the Padres going to the World Series. Let's go to the AL. We'll talk about the AL wild card. We'll go back down to the wild card series, the AL wild card series, the Mariners against the Blue Jays. I think I saw this coming. You had the Mariners playing inspired baseball, and all of a sudden Mariners fans are wearing freaking shoes on their head. I don't know. I talked to somebody and I was like, what's the deal with that? They're like, I don't know, but it works. And they're right. It's working. And they sweat the Blue Jays 2-0. Mariners outclassed the Blue Jays, in my opinion, winning 4-0. And then even though it was a shootout in game 2, 10-9, I thought the Mariners just looked better the entire game. What do you think?
I agree. And that was Toronto. Everybody was all hyped about their offense. I talked to a few friends. Oh, their offense is so great. I said, what about their pitching? Alex Manoah, he's good.
Yeah. But
the secondary pitches, you want to see more out of him. What were you going to get from Kevin Gausman? I think that was the biggest mistake of him, was coming to the AL. Especially the AL East. Dude, you had it cushy in San Francisco. Nice pitcher's ballpark to stay in. You wanted the money. You come to the AL East.
I think that's the mistake, is not coming to the AL, but coming to the AL East, because that is murderer's row when it comes to pitching.
Oh yeah. So. You see, look at Garrett Cole. He had almost a 4. Well, it's 3.5 ERA, but that's still kind of high. And he's a great pitcher when he wants to be. But it's AL East right there.
Yep.
And Corey Richmond.
Yep.
Gotta say this one. Yeah, I do agree with you, Corey. The Guardians do play small ball. They're actually a fun team to watch. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Sorry.
Oh yeah, the Guardians are fun. We'll get to the Guardians here in a minute for sure. What's funny though is Alek Manoah and Kevin Gausman both had is almost exactly the same performance. 5 2/3 innings, 4 runs given up. The only difference is that Gosman had 3 more strikeouts in his start than Manoah. You know, and a lot of the runs came off starting pitching or Anthony Bass. Then that's it. That was the difference. The starting pitching and Anthony Bass. And we knew that the pitching, especially the bullpen of the Mariners, was going to come out and just friggin' fly. They were going to shut everything down, and they did. But then you get to the Mariners going into the division series against the Astros, and while they played well, you got to walk Alvarez. What are we doing? What are we doing? You got game one. You know, game one, all right. I can see them not walking with, 2 outs. You get walking the bases loaded, and then you have Bregman coming up, and he's just as dangerous as Alvarez. But you got Robbie Ray leaving cookies over the plate. What are you doing, man? Like, for the love of God, of course he's going to hit it over. Of course he's going to walk it off when you leave a fastball center cut. That's what he's looking for. So I couldn't believe that. Before we get into the division series, let's go over to the other AL wildcard series, the Guardians against the Rays, the battle of 2 small ball, 2 small ball teams of low paid players. What do you think of that series? Obviously it was a sweep of the Guardians beating the Rays 2-1 and then 1-0 in 15 innings. Very entertaining game. What did you think of that series?
That was fun, man. I love small ball. That's the one thing that everybody forgets. It can be a fun game if done right. Especially if you got speed, be able to drop one down, get down the line, boom, base hit. You can score the same way with small balls. I'd rather give me the doubles. I'll take an occasional home run, but give me the doubles down the line. Give me them in the gaps, man. It's just fun. It's just fun watching it. But it's 2 teams that can do that pretty well. The Guardians with their very young squad. Shout out to Terry Francona. Continues to do his thing with the young squad. Man, it's just, you got Amir Rosario, you got Andres Jimenez, and the Francisco Lindor deal. You're welcome, Guardians. But but you got those kind of guys. Stephen Kwan is a pretty awesome player. I like Miles Straw. I think he needs to hit a little bit better, but fielding is great to watch.
Yeah.
The pitching needs to get a tad bit better. If they get a few more arms in there, there'll be something. But the Guardians, they're a fun team to watch. And the Rays are the Rays. Come on. No matter what they do, they can get rid of their whole team and come back the next year and win 90 games, which is crazy to me. That's just a testament to how they roll there. But it was a fun series, the back and forth, the walk-off. Can't go playoff baseball and walk-offs, and who doesn't love that?
Exactly, especially when it's in the 15th inning and goes 0-0. Like, we've had 2 extra inning games going to extra innings at 0-0, and they're both super friggin' long. How did that happen? How lucky did we get? I mean, this was, and going into 0-0, talking about 0-0, this was the series of no offense, 0 offense whatsoever. The Guardians hit a team batting average of 171 with 26 strikeouts. The Rays 115 with 29 strikeouts. Essentially, the difference was the Oscar Gonzalez homer. That's essentially what the difference was there. I just couldn't believe it. And Manny Hernandez is in the comments saying yelling Kwan. I really like Stephen Kwan.
Oh yeah,
great on base machine. Love that dude. I can't wait to see if the Guardians are able to keep it together next season, because I thought the Guardians were not even a thought in the weak AL Central, and it turned out that they were the class and they moved on to the division series. It's by playing small ball, and then they almost outclassed the Yankees. We'll talk about them now. The Yankees and the Guardians. The Yankees just edging them 3-2, with a score of Yankees winning 4-1 in game 1, the Guardians winning 4-2 in 10 innings in game 2, and then 6-5 in game 3. And then the Yankees coming back, winning 4-2 in game 4, and then 5-1 in game 5 on the strength of Garrett Cole and Nestor Cortez. Again, great played series. Not very much offense. You had a 182 batting average from the Yankees and a 247 batting average. Okay. The Cleveland Guardians showed up to hit just a little bit. but you had more timely hitting.
Yep.
Mind you, Aaron Judge, it only hit 200 for that for that series, struck out 11 times and only hit, and he hit 2 homers that ended up being pretty much the difference in some of these games. But do you think this is do you think this is more of a positive for the Guardians, or do you think this is more of a positive for the Yankees that they could pull it out despite the fact that Aaron Judge didn't really show up this series?
Because I will say it's a little bit of both. Because you got a young Guardians team that you went up against the class of the AL East, you could have beat them, but you left too many ducks on the pond.
Yeah.
Every series, you leave too many ducks on the pond, that's usually the team that's going to lose. And with the Yankees, your best player had a horrible series and you still managed to eke it out, which I think that when they postponed that game and they were able to get past that and get Cortez an extra day's rest, I think that did it for them. But the Yankees are, the Yankees are the Yankees. They always find a way, no matter how bad they might look during the season. I know you guys hate Aaron Boone, but if you're winning 90-something games every year and going to the playoffs, hey, you're doing something right. But you have my guy, New York's own Harrison Bader. He's becoming a little folk hero there in New York. He's smashing the ball. He's, great glove. The bat is around now, but it's a plus for both teams. Cleveland will be back next year. I think if the White Sox don't get their, what together, Cleveland might be the class of that division.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fight between Cleveland and the Twins. I think the Twins, minus Correa now, but I think the Twins will have something to say in the AL Central as well. And Corey Richmond actually reminded me, and I wanted to point this out. Yes, they hit the Yankees hit 182, but they also hit 9 home runs. 3 of them coming from not playoff Giancarlo Stanton, not coming from Aaron Judge, but from Harrison friggin' Bader. Like, what? He's been injured most of the time he's been on the Yankees. Got traded to the Yankees from the Cardinals. Got been injured most of the time. Comes in the playoffs, hits 3 bombs. Why not? Sure. He, according to WPA, which is basically the statistic that measures clutch, I guess you would say, how much their offense has been worth in terms of wins. You have Harrison Bader in this series was the second most valuable offensive player for the Yankees, only behind Anthony Rizzo, who again did very well. 4 RBIs, hit a bomb, had a handful of hits, did very well in this series. And Cleveland, I mean, I got to give props to Cleveland. Cleveland did really, really well playing small ball, and they battled against the Yankees, and they just came up short. That's pretty much all it had to do. You had Bieber coming on 3 days rest, but still did really well. You had Tristan McKenzie, who you were hoping would back up Shane Bieber. Didn't quite do that. 4 runs in 5 innings. I think that was kind of your difference there. Cal Quantrill giving up 6 runs in 10 innings. It's tough. It's hard. But again, they weren't even supposed to beat the Yankees, and they gave them a series worth fighting for. ALDS, the second ALDS series, the Mariners and the Astros, my opinion, most entertaining series, even though it was a sweep. What do you think?
Absolutely. I agree with you. You got we're going to use this word a lot. I know y'all guys don't want to hear it. That's the Yankee fans, but that's the class of the AL pretty much. You go to the ALCS 6 times in a row. We all know they cheated, but you go there 6 times in a row, man, it's kind of like LeBron. You got to start respecting it. You go that many times, that's pretty tough to do.
Yeah.
And Alex Bregman with a 3-run shot. Thank you, Manuel. But definitely they know how to win. Personally, the only reason I wouldn't mind seeing the Astros actually win, sorry about that, is Dusty Baker. The guy's been through the ringer. It'd be cool to have him win a ring. But back to this, the experience factor, it really showed in that Mariners series. But the Mariners gave them a hell of a run, and that team is going to be fun for years to come. Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, I like him.
Yep.
You got a whole bunch. Jared Killen, if he can get it together, even better. But they got a lot of talent, especially Luis Castillo heading that rotation. You gotta love to see that. He got the bag, he got his money, and he was worth it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing but upside with that team. Seattle's going to be a fun team, and it's definitely nice. It's great for the league. Great for the league, especially.
I agree. Mad respect for Seattle. They took it to the Astros. This was a game of just a couple moments. Just a couple moments. The Mariners had the Astros in game one, and Robbie Ray just leaving cookies over the plate. We've already talked about that. Robbie Ray, I don't know if you know baseball very well, Cy Young Award winner, but you can't throw fastballs over the middle of the plate. You can't do it. But then game two, again, you got to walk Alvarez in that situation. You got one out. You only have one runner on. I would rather take Bregman in that situation, have him ground out into a double play than Alvarez. And Alvarez hitting that two-run home run was the difference in that game. He already burned you in game one. You can't have him do it again in game two. And that's exactly what happened.
And he did it.
He did it again. And then game three, my opinion, is just bad luck. Somebody had to give, and it was, in fact, the rookie standout, Jeremy Pena, hitting the ball over the wall. I mean, what more can you ask for? Game three of playoffs. You ain't seen playoffs in 20 years. I saw a meme. I thought it was so funny. It said, it's so funny that Mariners fans have not seen playoff baseball for the Mariners in 20 years, but the Mariners have now decided that they're going to give it all back in one game. They're just going to play 20 years worth of baseball. It was a fantastic game. And I said it the last episode of the Total Bases podcast that I was on. If you thought that game three was a snooze fest, stop watching baseball, because that was a well-pitched game. And there was even some good offense. You had 17 hits in the game. It was a very, very well-played game. That was so entertaining. If you were not entertained by that, stop watching baseball, please. Don't need you. Stop it.
Oh, yeah. Had you on the edge of the seat just going, yeah. Is this going to happen? Is this going to happen?
Yeah, it was just a well-played game. Luis Garcia went out there in game three and just took care of business, throwing gas. And he went out there for 4 or 5 innings and just shut down the Mariners offense. Julio Rodriguez with that fantastic catch out in center field. I did not think he was going to catch that ball. He saved the game at that point for the Mariners. That was a fantastic catch. Overall, such an entertaining game, or such an entertaining series. I'm so excited for the Mariners. And honestly, I really hope they catch up to the Astros, because as an Angels fan, I'm tired of looking up at the Astros. I'm so tired of it. I don't care if the Angels beat the Astros, or I don't care who does it. Just somebody please win the division other than the Astros. But yeah, they're a good team. I can't fault the Astros. They're the class of the AL, if not the MLB. At this point, it's battle between the Astros and the Dodgers, really, when you're talking about regular season anyway. So going from the division series to the championship series, you've got the Yankees, the Yankees and the Astros. Oh, one's tough. This one's tough. I mean, the Astros are up 1-0. I really think the Astros have this in the bag. I think the Astros are a more complete team than the Yankees. Not only that, I think it's going to come down to managers. And when it comes down to either Dusty Baker or Aaron Boone, I'm going to go with Dusty Baker.
Got to go with Dusty.
Every single time. Every single time I'm going to go with Dusty Baker. What about you? What do you think of this series?
I thought the Yankees would come in and kind of, avenge themselves. You had the whole Stun 17 thing. That's never going to go away. So every time they're going to play them, the juice is going to be there. I still think they find a way to win this series, as we've seen teams come back from these leads. I just think they get hot. I could be wrong, but I think they can still do it. But the Astros, it's not going to be easy. No. You got to go down that line. Everybody in that lineup, besides, I want to say the catcher, Martin Maldonado, which he had at home. Yep, there you go. Besides him, it's a pretty tough lineup, man. Alvarez, potential MVP guy, Bregman. Just Altuve still, Altuve still Altuve. He's getting older. He's still a pest, but it's just They're gonna give him trouble. You need Judge to have that. He gotta have a signature game. Somebody gotta step up. Rizzo, he's gonna do his thing. Rizzo is complete Bader. He did his thing. It's gonna come down to Judge. Donaldson has been trash. He has been Basuda. He's been Dookie, whatever you want to call it. That's Donaldson. That's who runners in scoring position. I don't know where he's swinging at, but you can't do that. You got to be able to drive some runs in. They got some great young guys. The Oswaldo Cabrera, great glove. His bat has to come around. He had one, a big home run against Cleveland, I believe. That's real great, but you're in the ALCS now. You got to see the big hits now, and I don't know, with that 3-0 lead, can they come back? Absolutely. It's baseball. We've seen it before. We've seen teams come back from 3-0, win the series, 2004. The whole drill.
Yep.
But I still think Yankees in 6. Honestly, I think they can do it.
Wow, surprise! Yankees in 6. Just an update on game 2 is going on right now. The Astros are up against the Yankees 3-0 off the strength of a 3-run home run from Alex Bregman. Thank you, Manny, for the updates in the comments. So my opinion on this, I don't think it's close. I've got Astros in 5. I think the Astros are going to outclass. It's 3-1 now. I just looked at it. It's 3-1. Oh my God. Astros. I think it's Astros in 5. The Astros are just too complete of a team at this point, and I think the Yankees are gonna flop over. Sorry, Vince, and Henry, but I think it's just the Astros are just the class of the AL right now, and I really don't see them faltering at this point. I think the Astros are going to the World Series. In my opinion, it's going to be Astros, Padres, and I think that'll be a really entertaining series, but I think the Astros are going to come back and win the 2022 World Series. Let's get your World Series prediction while you're here. Who do you think's going to the World Series, and who do you think's winning?
I'm gonna stick with it. See, no hate, no Met hate here. I'm going to say the Yankees and the Phillies.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Yankees in 7.
Yankees in 7. Wow. Okay.
Because I can't stand the Phillies. The Met hate is still there with the Phillies. It'd be just like 2009 all over again. Oh, God, man. It was just, and I don't hate the Yankees. I really don't. As you know me as a fan, I care less. Love baseball, but the Phillies and the Braves, that's my hater meter, as I call it. Hate. I can't stand. Listen, when you got it, as you're dealing with that, what you're dealing with the Astros now, we had to deal with the Braves. 15 straight division titles, had to deal with Triple Jones, Andrew Jones, Brian Jordan, Javi Lopez, all those guys smacking us around every year. Yeah, we got, from the Kenny Rogers walk in 98. Yeah, F you, Kenny Rogers, still can't stand you. I'll hate you forever. To 99, with the Tyler Pratt home run, we had our memories. 2000, we finally got there. Yankees kicked their ass in the World Series. So, yeah, it's a Met fans world. It's not fun, but we still hate the Braves. And the Phillies, we can't stand you either. Screw you, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley. We don't like any of you, ever.
Just as you say this, the Yankees score again. It's 3-2.
See,
they're trying to speak your prediction into existence here. They're trying to prove me wrong. Even more reason why I shouldn't like the Yankees, but I always have a soft spot for them. So, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's Astros in 6 over the Padres, but we'll see. So I like that. 2 differing predictions. You've heard it here on the Total Bases Express show. 2 very different predictions here for the World Series. And I think that concludes this. This was really fun. I always enjoy having you on the show, man. I appreciate you coming on. You can go ahead and plug the Step Back and anything else you want to plug there.
Step back. We're on a little hiatus as my guy Leon, figures things out a little bit, but we will be back. We got to cover the season. There's too many things going on now. Knicks losing the first game. Nets losing the first game. We got to get that smoke out. And plus we miss coming on, but shout out to my guy Leon, he getting his stuff together. Salute to you. Love you, brother. We'll be back. And thank you for having me on. I love it, man. It's great.
Thanks for coming on, man. Before I got on here, I saw a post that somebody posted a LinkedIn account or a LinkedIn job listing for a 3-point shooter for the Lakers.
Oh, no, I saw that.
I thought that was funny. I thought that was hilarious. All right. Yeah. Go ahead and listen to the Stepback podcast while they're on a hiatus. You can listen to this other ones on Spotify, as you can listen to the Total Bases Express show and the Total Bases podcast. You can listen to all of us at the Life Group under the Life Group podcast on Spotify, on Stitcher, on all YouTube, on all of the platforms. We're everywhere. So go ahead and take a listen to us. You can also join all the life groups, join Basketball Life, join Baseball Life, join Pop Culture Life. We got a Pop Culture Life. We even got a friggin' pet life, everybody. Like we've got if you have a passion for something, we probably got a life group for it. So, go ahead and check us out. If you haven't already, what rock have you been living under? Cause we're here forever. So anyway, for my friend Jacob, I am Austin Spiro. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next week, have a good one, everybody.